Hello, welcome back. I'm Statman Dave. Today we're going to be predicting the Champions League final with Coral. Make sure, of course, to subscribe if you are new to the Statman Dave YouTube channel. Smash that notification bell on, hit like as well, and also get into the comments and join the goddamn debate. Anyway, let's get this party started. Wow, what a Champions League we had this season. The games that were brilliant absolutely extend throughout the entire knockout stages. We're talking Man United versus PSG, Ajax versus Real Madrid, Spurs versus City, Liverpool versus Barcelona, and finally Spurs versus Ajax. The departure of Ronaldo and Zidane has opened up to the craziest Champions League ever. Get into the comments below though, which was the best game for me? I'm going to go with Juventus, Man United. What a comeback that was, courtesy of Mauro and Fellaini. But anyway, guys, let's talk about the finalists. First up, Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs qualified for the Champions League, finishing third in the Premier League last season. They came second in a group containing Barcelona, Inter Milan and PSV. Pochettino's side got off to a terrible start to their European campaign, losing to Barcelona and Inter Milan before drawing in Eindhoven with PSV. They turned around their form and an 85th minute equaliser from Lucas Moura was enough to finish them second behind Barca in the group. Then they brushed aside a blunt Borussia Dortmund before three decisive away goals and a correct VAR decision at the Eithad saw them meet Ajax in the semi-final. In the first leg, Ajax outclassed Spurs in the first half, with Pochettino getting his tactics completely wrong. But adapting in the second half saw them go away to Amsterdam only a goal down. The second leg saw the return of Jan Vertonghen and Heung-min Son. This didn't change the approach of Ajax, who dominated the ball through Frankie de Jong and Ten Hag's vertical tiki-taka. First half goals from De Ligt and Ziyech forced Pochettino to adapt again at half-time. Here's where Pochettino took control of the tie. First bringing off holding midfielder Victor Wanyama for Llorente and switching to a slightly more direct style. Spurs targeted Ajax's aerial weakness, hitting long balls to Llorente to knock down for his supporting teammates. This is almost a carbon copy of how Jose Mourinho used Mauro and Fellaini to bypass the Ajax pressing philosophy. The Dutch side couldn't handle Llorente and the Spaniard was always an option. In his 45 minutes on the pitch, Fernando Llorente won 12 aerial duels, twice as many as any other player on the pitch. But it wasn't the former Bilbao man that made the difference. Instead, the opportunistic Lucas Moura. The Brazilian scored all three of his goals that sent Spurs through, scoring 75% of his shots from inside the box. The brilliance and pragmatism of Mauricio Pochettino was how he increased the attacking intent of his side. First removing that defensive midfielder for a striker, then his right back for a winger, moving his holding midfielder to right back, and even removing a hot-headed Danny Rose to maintain 11 men on the pitch. The way Pochettino has consistently adapted his side, dealing with injuries to key players as well as adding no signings, all whilst remaining competitive, is nothing short of genius. Credit should go to Erik Ten Hag for taking Ajax to their first Champions League semi-final since 1996. But to see Ajax go one step further needs to adopt a bit of Pochettino's pragmatism. As soon as it was clear that Llorente was dominating in the air, Ten Hag should have switched to a back three and brought on the aggressive Mangalan earlier. This shape could have looked like a 3-4-1-2 with Donny van de Beek as the defensive 10 and the two centre-forwards Ziyech and Tadic dropping to defend wide. This shape not only would have given Ajax better defensive control, but would allow their forwards to break in the huge space behind Spurs' fullbacks. And if you think Spurs can win the Champions League, then Coral have got some great offers for you. Coral love backing Spurs as the outsiders, whilst Liverpool are heavily fancied by the bookies to win their 6th European Cup. The link will be in the description below, but you've got to remember to be over the age of 18, gamble responsibly, and terms and conditions do apply on the Coral website. On to the other finalists, Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. While Spurs' comeback was more exciting, Liverpool's was perhaps more impressive, coming back from 3 goals down to shut out Barcelona and win 4-0 at home. But how did they get there? Liverpool arguably had one of the hardest groups and were drawn against Red Star Belgrade, Napoli and Paris Saint-Germain. And after a little wobble, had to wait until the final game to qualify, where they beat Napoli 1-0. They dispatched German champions in Bayern Munich before sweeping aside Portuguese champions FC Porto. And then were drawn against old friends Luis Suarez and Philippe Coutinho in Lionel Messi's Barcelona. Despite losing the first leg 3-0, they were positive to take back to Anfield. Liverpool were unusually poor in front of goal and should have taken at least one away goal, but injuries to Firmino and Salah made Liverpool's task even more impossible. Klopp started the second leg in the 4-3-3. The main purpose was to counter-press. Sadio Mane operated in a more aggressive position in the absence of Mohamed Salah, drifting inside and sitting on the last man. Alongside this, Klopp selected Divock Origi, who constantly ran into the channels, pulling Barcelona out of shape. When Liverpool had the ball, they looked to play long into the channels, turning Barcelona's midfield. From this position, they looked to counter-press, and their supporting midfielders would look to win the ball high up the pitch. Liverpool's first goal came from this. They kept creating through this method. We've highlighted Barcelona's weaknesses this season. Their midfield doesn't track runners, they don't stop crosses coming into the box. Funnily enough, Liverpool scored from a combination of those things. First, Alexander-Arnold crossed, and Wijnaldum ran off the Barcelona midfield to apply the finish. And the third goal was a similar story, this time on the left-hand side. Milner and Shaqiri were unopposed, they combined, Shaqiri crossed for another Wijnaldum goal. On top of this, it's reported that Liverpool's analysts identified that Barcelona would switch off when the ball went out of play, and they instructed the ball boys to give the ball back quickly. Quick thinking from 14-year-old Oakley Cannonier and Trent Alexander-Arnold saw the fullback pick out Origi with a set piece to take Liverpool to the final. The young Liverpudlian has been in fine form in recent weeks, registering 7 assists in his last 8 games, but his all-round game was fantastic against Barcelona. He won 100% of his aerial duels, made 11 ball recoveries, 4 interceptions, played 4 accurate long balls, created 2 chances, 2 shots and 1 assist. When Spurs meet Liverpool in Madrid, it's going to be a fantastic game. In the previous 6 meetings, there's been 20 goals scored. And you have to go back 9 games to the last 0-0, so you'd assume there'll be goals galore. We all know that Klopp is most likely to set Liverpool up in his 4-3-3, but the question is how Pochettino will set up Spurs. In the aforementioned 6 games, Pochettino has just won once, whereas Klopp has won 4 times. It seems that Klopp has Pochettino's number on paper, but in actual fact the teams are very well matched. The last 2 games Liverpool have won 2-1, but in the first game Spurs should have had a late penalty, and in the second game Hugo Lloris gifted Liverpool the win after some poor Spurs finishing. So the final might not be as cut and dry as simple as a Liverpool win. If Spurs line up in a 4-2-3-1 and can get the ball wide to bypass Liverpool's press and directly attack down the flanks like PSG did in the group stages, then I think they could come away with a win, but it all depends on the fitness of Harry Kane. Son and Moura will be key to this, but have to play as wingers, only coming inside when the ball is on the opposite flank. If Kane is fit and firing, Pochettino can play his favoured system. And I'd probably predict a Spurs win if he can do that. But it's more likely that Liverpool and Klopp will get the beating of Spurs and Pochettino again, simply because their squad is so much better than last season, when they fell short against Real Madrid in the final. We could see Divock Origi being a super sub once again. For me, I predict a Liverpool win and for them to lift their 6th European Cup. But anyway guys, I've been Statman Dave. Get into the comments below. Join the debate. What was the best game in the Champions League so far this season? But also, who's going to win? Spurs or Liverpool? Pochettino or Jurgen Klopp? Make sure, of course, to subscribe if you're new. Like that goddamn video. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one.